You know, I didn't even tell you about my damn, sitting on a plane for 5 hours. I was supposed to go interview Michael Penix. I didn't even get to do that yesterday. Hour and a half later, still on the runway. And then storms rolled in here in the Northeast. And I sat on the plane from about 7:20 till about 11:40, I would say. And then they made us get off the plane. And by that time, my Michael Penix Jr. interview was missed.
For someone your size, it's got to be even worse.
Oh.
I have to squat and take a pee like this.
Squeeze yourself into that tiny little closet to use the bathroom.
That's how I pee in there, Mike, like this. I go like this the whole time.
Yeah.
Yo, what's up? It's Chris Sims. It's Chris Sims Unbuttoned. We are here. It's the last podcast for the next 4, 5, 6 weeks here that we'll do live. Ahmed Fareed is here. He wore his special red pants for the show today. Okay? And yeah, I freaking hate airlines. I hate flying.
You've had a bad year.
I've had a horrible year. I've had really one flight, I think, in the last maybe 12 months that has actually just been smooth. Everything else has been at least 4 or 5 hour delays, canceled flights, whatever it may be. Incredible. Here's my pet peeve, okay? We're going to start about this because we're going to answer a lot of questions. AMA, good to see you. What's up, dude? It is a beautiful Wednesday here. The quarterback rankings are done. We're going to get into the mailbag. We're going to take all those questions. But here's what drives me crazy. I'm a pretty detailed, efficient person. I'm very into maximizing my time and my day with my schedule, and sometimes can maybe even be a little jerk because I'm like, come on, let's go. I got this going. I got that, right? So I can be like that. Not in airline life. You can't be like that. They're not like that. And the fact that this is what the delay was, and we didn't even play this in the clip. We are leaving the gate. We're getting ready to taxi. The pilot comes on. And as of right now, on time, we're looking good. He gets on to go, as of right now, we're going to be second to take off, and we're looking to get in 10 to 15 minutes early to Atlanta.
Gosh.
2 minutes later, right back. I'm sorry. I lied. The person that logs our fuel wrote down the wrong number. They're still writing it on a piece of paper. We haven't got to the technology here yet. I don't understand that, how that's even possible. But we had to wait for the guy to come back who didn't write the right number on the fuel log paper to come back and write the right number. So that took a half hour at least for us waiting for him. And then by that time, there was much more flights on the runway, right? Starting the morning rush of everything going on there. Yeah. And we were like 20th in the line. And then, as we had yesterday, we had these thunderstorms roll in late morning. And as we were kind of getting like 4th or 5th from takeoff, they were like, no, we're grounding everything. There's thunderstorms everywhere.
And so you went back to the gate.
We stayed there for a while. Then they said, hey, we're clear to go. We got another pattern. We're going. We're still 4th to go. We just got to wait. 1 or 2 planes got to get out of our way. So we're moving. Now we're second. They've closed it again, stopped it. It's going to be stopped for a while. And now we're past our 3-hour limit of what we're allowed to be on the plane and do all of that, whatever, without taking off. So we went back to the gate. Yeah.
Oh, my God.
So I'll see Michael Penix hopefully start a training camp somewhere late July, early August. But, that pissed me off, to say the least, yesterday.
It could have been even worse, though, because you could have been delayed 3 hours, and then you're stuck on that plane, and you've missed the interview.
Oh, no, and then they take off? You're right. No, that's no joke about it. And there was a point here where, I'm on the phone with NBC, right, and trying to figure this out. Hey, maybe we can get him to move it back to 4 o'clock because we're gonna board the plane again. Good thing we didn't do that. Good thing he couldn't do that at 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
He had other stuff that was planned, and I wouldn't have got there anyways because the flight that now they said was going to take off at 12:40 ended up taking off at like 2 o'clock. It didn't even land until past 4 o'clock. So you're right. There is some little silver lining there.
So you go to the airport.
I hate flying is the bottom line here.
You're going through TSA. You get on a plane, and then you get off that plane and just walk out. You just walk out of there.
I walked out. Well, for a minute I hung around because I was like, wait a minute, am I going to just hang here? Let's see what's go. But then I realized, oh, no, the whole day's screwed. He can't do the interview, and I'm out of here. So I go back home and, look at my social media for a second, see I'm getting crapped on by about my top 40 countdown, my pyramid. And then I said, okay, I can't look again.
Well, we tell you that. We go, don't look at it. Don't look at the haters. Just going to make you mad. We will surface the haters for you, and then make you look at it live on your podcast. That's
it's hard not to look. Yeah. It's hard not to go to your Instagram and see, the numbers pop up there by the hearts and all that stuff that say, 150 this, 100 whatever, and you like click to look. But then you read one or two comments, and you might read a few that are good, and then you get to one where you're like, oh man, this person's killing me. And they obviously didn't listen to the pod. They just saw a ranking, and they don't, because they're giving me crap for things about points I should say that should rank that quarterback higher, and I want to be like, I want to comment and go, hey, dummy, listen to the pod. I talk about this for 5 minutes, exactly what you're talking about.
And they go, that's the last thing I would do, ever listen to your podcast.
Exactly right.
So, let's go through it, though, because the homies did chime in as well.
I know
you can always tell the homies from the non-listeners.
I can always know what the homies are. Right.
So here's the top 10. In case you missed it, the last couple of podcasts, we released it. You had Lamar Jackson, the first time he has ever been number one, and Patrick Mahomes, who is a perennial number one, dropped down to number 4. There's your top 10. There's all your names. Let's go through some of them. You talked about the eliteness of those first 4 guys and future Hall of Famers. This is a good question, though, or a statement, actually, from the real Tony Asen over on YouTube. Said, Breeze, Brady, Manning, and Rodgers. That was a great top 4.
It definitely was. I've been thinking about this kind of ever since I said it the other day, and I think I brought up those names a little bit at that time. Right, I feel like it's a weird one where you feel like Breeze, Brady, and Manning were more in their prime when Brett Favre was actually still really good, rather than maybe, where Aaron Rodgers' career overlaps, right? When Aaron Rodgers started to become where I would say like 2010, 2011, where I was like, oh, he's the best quarterback in football.
Yeah.
There was a little part there where Brady was not playing his best football, right? And that's kind of where I started to, not long after that, going like, he's not a top 10 quarterback in the game right now. I mean, he's not playing awesome. He's not playing like the top guy in the game. There was a little of that. Manning, of course, was coming to an end there in Indianapolis, and we knew he was going to go to Denver. And Breeze a little bit. But, yeah, it's definitely in that conversation there. And I'm probably missing a few other eras of great quarterback play of 4 guys. Like in the mid-'90s, we had Favre, Aikman, Steve Young, right? Who would be another one that could jump into the mix there as far as being that type of guy, right? I guess Elway. Elway was still there, mid-'90s. That would be a damn strong 4, too. You heard me about the mid-'80s with Montana. Mm-hmm. Montana in the 85, 86, Montana, Marino, Elway. And then... who else do you want to make the 4th there? That could be questionable to a degree.
4 that are this close in age.
I think that's the difference.
Right?
That's what we're trying to get at
peak.
here. Exactly right. I think a lot of the other times you're mixing and matching kind of different generations together to make it happen.
Yeah.
These are all guys that feel like they kind of came in the league at the same time. I know they weren't exact, but it's all within a 2 or 3 year span of each other. And you feel like, they're in the AFC. They're all competing against each other. And the road to the Super Bowl goes through these 4 people consistently, really, through the last 7 years. And that's where it's pretty special. I don't know if we've ever seen 4, like you're saying, in the prime quite the way they are right now.
Brad5794 says this over on YouTube, doing these rankings fun and all, but let's just remember that we're all lucky as football fans to have these 4 quarterbacks balling out and in their primes. All of them are awesome. We're just splitting hairs trying to rank them. Feels like the order of this top 4 can change every year. For the next 5 years, just a matter of the coaching health and roster strength surrounding them.
There's definitely that. Exactly.
You would not be
right.
surprised if any one of those 4 was number 1 next year.
They're all worthy. Joe Burrow's probably looking at it now going, wait, you never put me 1. What the hell? Like, I'm always 3. I'm like de facto 3 every year. Like, what the hell? So, yes. But yes, Brad5794, thanks a lot for that comment. I feel like I need you to go on to my Instagram page and say those type of things. Like, this is hard. This is awesome. I love the top 10. I do all of that. So that's where, we do need to appreciate that. And this is a special, special group.
Now, you put them all in the same tier. Of course, you did rank them.
Yeah.
But some of our homies want to know exactly how close they were.
Yeah.
Nigel Bryant says this to you. Who is closer? Josh Allen to number 1. He was your number 2 behind Lamar Jackson. Or Patrick Mahomes to number 3. In other words, was the gap between Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen greater than the one between Joe Burrow and Patrick Mahomes?
Yeah, and God bless you all. He says
God bless
to
you
all of us, and he ats all of us.
And to all a good night.
Yes, but I don't think. I think that this was splitting hairs. This was tough. I don't look at it and go, no, I don't think. I went into the exercise thinking that yes, Josh Allen was probably going to be number 1. Okay, that's full transparency. I always have a little thought in my head, right? And then as I told you this year, I started with the top guys right away. And that's where I told you right away, I think early on in the process, is like I kind of got my top 10. I feel really good about it. Right. I had to maybe or just like move one guy to 7 and one guy to 8, but I was like, I actually feel really confident about that. I said that to you on text the other night, right? So that was the only part of the whole exercise I felt good about. But it came apparent to me as I was watching through the top guys pretty early on. I was just like, oh my gosh, wow, whoa, Lamar Jackson, man, it's great throw, great decision, great throw. Whoa, nothing's there. Oh, wow, scrambled for 20. Ooh, great throw. Whoa, sidearm throw. Ooh, nothing's there. Man, got around the edge for 40. Oh, design quarterback run, 30-yard gain. And you just start to go, holy crap, every game's almost like a highlight film. I mean, it's kind of just like unreal. And it's just not that easy for Josh Allen right now, nor do I think, like I was saying too, hey, yeah, the team, I take all that into consideration, right? I understand that Lamar had a little more explosive offense and all that, but two, just playing from within the pocket and the decisions and the throws and the variety of throws, that's when it became apparent to me. I was like, oh my gosh, Lamar Jackson, the way he played last year, nobody played better quarterback than he did.
Yeah.
Nobody did. Now, that doesn't mean he was the MVP, right? As we discussed, there's a little difference there in my opinion, and I know not everybody agrees with that, but either way, no, I can't say, because you know how much I struggled with Mahomes at 4 too. I was going, damn, am I at the really maybe the greatest quarterback I've ever seen in my life? Put him at number 4 the year after going to his 3rd straight Super Bowl, right?
15-1.
So yes, exactly. I understand all of that. I do, but I'm comfortable with my 4. My biggest thing is I like these guys so much that I don't want to even hurt their feelings. That's what's weird.
Yeah.
Like, I really like them. I want them to like me when I see them. I do.
Yeah.
And so I tried to not let that into effect.
Sure.
Like I told you, and I haven't told anybody this yet. The first time my son saw my list, what did he say? Did we say this on the pod yet?
He's no longer a Sim.
He was like,
Disowned you.
You can't put Mahomes 4th. He'll never do an interview with you ever again. You can't do that, right? So, like, does that I have to fight hard to, like, keep that stuff off of my damn, soul, my heart, and just keep it about brain, football field, what I saw in film, what my notes said. And so it was very close between all of them. But no, I would not say the gap was any bigger between Lamar and Josh Allen as compared to Burrow and Mahomes. It was literally like, Lamar, okay, Allen's a tick under him. Oh, my gosh, is Burrow equal to Allen? I don't know. Okay, he's a tick under him. Oh, my gosh, okay, this wasn't the greatest year for Mahomes. He's just a tick under Burrow.
Yeah, it's all
that's kind of how I felt, right.
We got to do it like Sports Illustrated does it, right? They have a different cover depending on where you live.
Oh, yeah, you're right,
so
right.
you could in Kansas City.
Or ESPN magazine had that for a while.
There you go.
Right, which I got
done that.
I got to be on that a few times.
Did you?
Right?
Yeah.
At Texas, like the South version was me on the cover of the Longhorn, but like up in the Northwest, it was Joey Harrington, right? Up in Oregon, or somebody for Ken Dorsey down in Miami for the Southeast or maybe the eastern part of the country. Oh yeah, you're right. I needed to do that. Right?
You know, of all the things,
Yeah.
and it was like one time when I was living in Virginia,
Yeah.
they had this, most eligible bachelor list or whatever. I made it one year
Did
when
you
I was
really?
there. Yeah, doing local news there. Yeah, I was one of the 25 people. I was on a cover of a magazine.
Most eligible bachelors.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow, look
They
at
had like
you.
some charity auction too, where you auction off a date.
Oh,
they
damn.
went full bore with that whole thing.
Man,
but
people were probably making it rain for your services.
well, yeah, someone did bid. I went on a date there.
Yeah.
It was very it was interesting and awkward at the same time.
I would bet. I would bet it would have been.
But being on a cover of a magazine, like of all the things, like you're on national TV all the time, do a show, this podcast. There's something special about being on the cover. Of a
Definitely.
magazine,
Well, it
isn't
never goes away forever.
Kind of,
like,
right?
I mean, my mom's kept those magazine covers. I see them at her house. My wife's got a few there, right? It's
Yeah.
something where you can, look at it every now and then and go, damn. Yeah, I was on the cover there. That was pretty cool. That's
Yeah.
like a special moment to remember.
And then
forever.
your kids go, "What's a magazine?" And be like, "Well, they were big back in the day." So you were debating yourself whether Allen. You thought maybe Allen would be number 1. You know who else thought that? Or
Yeah.
maybe still thinks that. Captain 2223 over on YouTube says, "Usually love your logic, Chris. That being said, your logic says Allen is the best. If he's the most valuable because he has lesser talent and he has to do everything, then he's better than Lamar by your own logic. Search your feelings. You know it to be true."
No, I don't know it to be true there, okay? And, I understand. This is where it's nitpicky. And, again, like I said, I didn't go into this kind of expecting to do this. I went in with a thought of, I think Allen's probably going to be the number 1 quarterback here. No, now it doesn't mean necessarily all that what you say there is true, right? Yes, he's he has lesser talent around him. He had to do more, right, to help his team. It doesn't necessarily mean he was consistently good through 17 weeks, though. There's a difference there. Maybe he had some of the biggest, most magical moments in some nationally televised games, right? I understand that, and that is a big part of why I voted him to be number one and all that. But at the same time, I don't sit there when I look at it throw for throw, game for game, to sit there and go, yes, there's games where Josh Allen plays good but not great. It's not like, oh my gosh, look at the stats, look at the completions. He made perfect decisions, right? Because he can be one that can be a little over-aggressive at times. We know that. Sure. Look for the big home run play where, okay, they won those games. But there were some stretches where you go, he played good. Don't get me wrong. He's still the man. But it's not like you would sit there and just go, oh, that was an A-plus quarterback game, right? Yeah. You get to Lamar, and I feel like you go through 10, 12 game stretches where you just go, incredible game, incredible game, incredible game, incredible game. Okay. Oh, he had a bad one against Pittsburgh. They lost on the road in the Steelers. Oh, that's right. They dropped the pass. He missed a guy that was open, blah, blah, blah. Okay, that was a bad day. But then it's right back to like, damn, good game, good game, good game, good game. And that's where I came away with, again, quarterback play and everything you do there. Lamar Jackson did it at the most consistent high level throughout the season. And I do think you can still say that. I can say that and still go Josh Allen's the MVP.
Yeah.
Because of the importance to his team and what he did in some big moments, right? And not necessarily all those defenses were awesome that he was playing, but they were big moments, and he took advantage of them. And it was a stretch of the year where I think he had more value, than maybe any other player in their league to their team.
Yes.
Than anybody else. But I does not mean quarterback play there.
I'm with you.
Does that make sense, sir?
100%. It's always the argument that I make with a lot of people with baseball.
Right.
And when you're voting for MVP there or you're doing player evaluation, you talk to the analytics people and they say, don't look at RBIs because RBIs just means you came up in an opportunity to knock in a run.
Sure.
Sure. If you're doing player evaluation, you don't want to look at RBIs because someone may have had more opportunities. I was like, that's totally fair. And this is what you're doing is player evaluation for your list. But when you're looking at MVP or who affected a game, the guy who knocked in the run, it might have been, another guy might have been able to do it, but this guy did it, and he was up at the plate when it happened, and at last I checked, we keep score in games, and so if you were the guy that knocked in the runs, at least in that context, RBI still matter.
That was a great way to explain it. That was a very good analogy. I wish I would have thought that of myself.
Well, you can use it.
That helps explain it a little bit better, and thank you for doing that.
There we go. There you go. Use that from now on. All right, here's one in defense of Mahomes.
Right.
JJ, hold on.
There's a lot of Mahomes. There's a lot of Mahomes.
There's a lot of Mahomes.
Yes.
What is that? What do you mean?
Well, there's a lot of things on social media defending Mahomes,
you're right.
and we definitely have a lot to answer here with this. And like a lot of people want to know why he's for, and all these reasons that we're going to have to get into, and we'll break it down right now.
Yes, you and Matt remind me of that. Yes, you're right. This did flood this is what we kept you away from.
Yeah.
Because of course, right? It seems crazy.
Right.
Patrick Mahomes, of all people, you, the number one Patrick Mahomes advocate
I hope
throughout
that's
your entire life.
I want to reach out to people a little bit and go are you kidding me? Like what that you think I'm doing this to the guy that I always kind of say is like my favorite guy, my favorite player to watch. I think he may be the greatest quarterback of all time. Yeah. I made a name for myself in this business because I said he should be the number one pick as soon as I evaluated him in the draft, and it came true that he looked like he should be the number one pick. So I'm not doing this for any other reason to stay strictly to football, and I love Mahomes. So I hope everybody can appreciate my hard work and my ability to kind of take the personal stuff out of the mix here when it comes to evaluating these guys.
No, I don't think everyone does appreciate that.
No, I know they don't.
By reading your comments, this is like when Hulk Hogan joined NWO. Remember that? And wrestling? You've made the heel turn. Maybe Mahomes comes from JJ Abongo 4614. Maybe Mahomes wasn't his best, but his number one and number two receivers were out almost all year.
Yep.
They lost their number one running back, and he still managed to get to the Super Bowl and outplay the Golden Boy, Josh Allen. I think we have to put that into perspective also.
I understand that, and there's a lot of valid points there, certainly. And I also kind of take 2 years a little bit into account, a little bit, like the past 2 years. It's not always just about last year and everything that way. And so, like, I use it as an accumulation of right now of like, yeah, right now can't just always be just last year. Like, if you were the best quarterback last year and the 3 years before that, you were like number 8, 9, and 10, I don't know if I'm going to definitely put you at number 1 that year. It's been like, well, I don't know if I could say the best. He had the great year that year. But the other years, he doesn't average out to be in the top 3 or 4, right? So can I say he's the best? Those are the things I got to mentally juggle a little bit here, too. And I told you I went back and watched some of last year, right? Even going back and watching Lamar last year, just going, wow, that year was good, but he wasn't what he was in the pocket throwing this year. And some of that stuff. Jalen Hurts, we talked about. Last year, I thought he made – the year they didn't go to the Super Bowl, he made a lot more impressive throws and reads and things like that in the pocket than he did this past year going to the Super Bowl, okay? So there's more that goes into it. And so even going back to 2 years ago a little bit with Mahomes, okay, all those guys, the receivers were there, everybody was there. They haven't played high-functioning, awesome offensive football here for a little bit. That's what I'm saying. So that's where we're at here. And I understand still that those guys are missing, and I take that into account. You know me. I'm not one that just goes, oh, incomplete pass, negative on the quarterback. If nobody's open and there's nowhere to go, I don't put that on the quarterback, right? Now, I'll give you a lot of credit if you do make something happen and nobody's there, nobody's open, oh, my gosh, it's pass protection, and you still make something happen, which is Lamar Jackson to a T a lot right now, okay? So that's where you get into that. Now, I know he goes to the Super Bowl, and I know he beat Josh Allen, and I have a lot of people that I saw about playoffs.
All right, let's read those
and
right
all
now.
that. Let's go into that a little
time
bit.
To shine.
Right.
I'll read all of these, and then you can kind of respond at the end of it.
Cool.
This is Caleb Hawkeye says to you, number 4 has ended the season ahead of number 1, and number 3 straight years, but okay. Derek Q says, I'm sorry, I get the regular season numbers and everything he does there, but this is which quarterback you want to win a Super Bowl, though, and Lamar just doesn't perform the same in the playoffs. You said that on the podcast when we did it.
Yeah.
Eye test, eyeball test, and numbers just isn't the same in the guy's biggest moments. That matters the most. And BN says, in your rankings, how much do playoff performances supersede regular season, if at all? And so the pushback here is that the whole reason you do this is which quarterback would you want to win a Super Bowl on your team in 2025? You know, go through the regular season, get your team through the playoffs, win the whole thing. And so the pushback by these and many others were that I don't know that you're evaluating or factoring in what Mahomes has done in the playoffs enough.
I am. That's what I can tell you. And what I would really go back to a lot of people in a lot of ways, and this goes back to my overall theme a little bit. He's mastered winning. He's an all-time great. He's awesome. He does all these things special. But also within that, too, what I want to go back to challenge people with that is, okay, the Super Bowl was not very good. All right, we got that. What game are we looking at statistically the last 2 years in the playoffs to just go, oh my gosh, he blew it out. We're not paying attention here. We're not paying attention. And what I would tell you in a lot of these cases, again, and I'm not, I love Mahomes, is I'm just saying the way he played and the stuff he did in that game, too, did not necessarily always conduct itself as awesome quarterback play. Because a little bit, the way the team plays, the defense, they weren't extremely efficient all the time in all playoff games. I mean, I think his best game over the last 2 years, as far as the playoffs are concerned, would be the Super Bowl against the 49ers, right? That would be it. And we know a lot of those stats and yards and everything came on the last 3 drives of the game. They really did. And that's where he's clutch, and he's maybe the clutchest quarterback we've ever seen. But I do take the playoffs into consideration and all that. And I don't think it's always fair to compare that way. I don't. Again, I know we've gotten into the quarterbacks are the winning is part of the team record, but I think we've got a little like a part of the quarterback stat book, I should say. I think we've gone a little too overboard with that. I do. We give a little too much credit there all the time to the quarterback. And my point here is what I'm trying to say is just that, hey, the Ravens AFC Championship game 2 years ago. I mean, they won 17-10. To me, Mahomes was really good that day. Don't get me wrong, but I'm not 241 yards, 1 touchdown. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, no. The plays I remember is, we stripped Lamar Jaxson, the Kansas City Chiefs defense. Oh, we hit Zay Flowers. He's about to score a touchdown, and he fumbled on the 1-yard line, and we stopped them from scoring a touchdown, right? We stripped Zay Flowers down the field at one point when he caught a big pass and made somebody miss and do all that. So, what I'm trying to say here is he's awesome, but he's had the luxury of a team around him that allows him maybe not to have to play to the level of Josh Allen or Burrow or Lamar all the time. And that's where that's hard. And maybe I'm wrong. I'm not telling you I'm right here. I'm just telling you about what I think and what I see from the quarterback play. I'm not arguing that he's not the clutchest guy in football. I get that too. But I would say there's been a lot of games in the last 2 years where I could go to Mahomes and go, listen, if Josh Allen or Burrow played like this and played this style, they would have no chance of winning the game. None. No chance. They can't do that. They can't just go, it's a throwaway first down. Let me just throw it out there. He's kind of double covered, but maybe he makes a miraculous play. Mm-hmm. They don't have the luxury of that. Or just going, damn, it's third down. We're down by 7. But my defense will keep us in it. Nobody's open on third down. I'll throw it away. We'll punt away. They don't have the luxury of that stuff either. And that's where I think we have to take this into account a little bit. And that's where I do get a little sick of all the times winning going to the quarterback, just time after time after time after time. There's got to be a little more balance. And there was more balance when we grew up, if you remember. It wasn't so like I said yesterday, Phil Simms won the Super Bowl. He's better than John Elway, Dan Marino, and Joe Montana.
Yeah.
No, he's not. He's really damn good. Don't get me wrong.
You were saying that.
I'm saying that. I've always been saying that because I'm trying to keep it real with people.
Yeah.
That stop losing. My dad did not win the Super Bowl in Super Bowl 21 after having the greatest Super Bowl performance ever. He didn't walk off the field going, I'm better than John Elway now. He did not. I can promise you. I can promise you when we got home a few weeks later, he was like, man, John Elway. I can promise you when he watches the game back to this day, he's still like, holy crap, that game was scary. John Elway, holy crap. So we've lost reality there, and I blame New England and Brady for the most part, and Peyton Manning and the Colts because they won, and everybody just saw them, and everyone, it's them all the time, right? Yeah. And that's where I feel like we've lost that in translation a little bit.
Yeah, and I think we do bias. If there's winning, I think we bias on that side of it. But you, I think a little bit the other way, and I don't think to a disproportionate amount, but I think for you, and you'd probably agree with this, if a quarterback has a great team around him, he has to show more to you almost than some of the other. You know what I mean? It's
at times.
He's got to show me that you have risen above the level of your teammates, which are awesome.
Which he does a lot, and we've seen that, and I know that. And again, this is where it's hard too, but this is where he's amazing, okay? This is where he's amazing because he does know his team. He knows the broader scope of the game, right? And from that aspect. But I can also sit here and watch games with you and still go, look, he shouldn't have left the pocket. Look, this wasn't the greatest read. Look, he shouldn't have thrown that there. This guy was open, whatever. And I think we could compare that to a Burrow, Mahomes, or Allen right now, or Burrow, Lamar and Allen, and go, wait, there's more of that right now in his game than there was in their game. Okay, and that's where I get down to.
So
right? This is a torturous exercise.
So when you're thinking about Lamar in the same context, about him, individual performance, team performance, scale of 1 to 10, how fair is the criticism of Lamar for his playoff performance?
Well, to me, it's fair. I'm never going to say it's not fair.
Yeah.
All right, that you're not going to hear that come out of my mouth or do anything like that. Where I think it's not necessarily, where I would want to get on him and go, we've seen good playoff football. We saw him blow out the Houston Texans 2 years ago in the divisional round and play awesome in the second half. This past year played good against the Steelers. To me, it's more about just in a game last year, you heard me say, I think he was feeling it. He was trying to do too much. He tried to do too much. Plus, he was playing up in Buffalo, and that ain't easy to play up there and deal with that too. All right, the year before, okay, when we get into the AFC Championship game against the Kansas City Chiefs and those failures there, all right, we have one interception, right? One interception, and we have the one fumble. Okay, and I can't even remember the interception off the top of my list, but that would be a game. Hey, listen. That was an all-time great defense. it's hard for me to sit it. They didn't run the ball. Let's not forget. See, we forget context of things that go on in the football game. Yeah. Let alone we get on Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson a little bit, I think a little too much, because they're playing in an era where there's a team in Kansas City, yes, and the quarterback's amazing, as I've stated almost every year since he's been in the league, that they're playing a special team. It's a special coach. It's the greatest defensive coordinator to ever live, maybe, right? And the talent to go along with it on that side of the ball. And I think everybody sometimes just goes, well, they didn't beat the Chiefs. They didn't do that. And it's like, well, the Chiefs are special. I mean, they're the Steelers of the 70s. They're the Niners of the 80s. They're the Cowboys of the 90s. They're the Patriots of the 2000s, right? They're the Patriots of the 2010. I mean, that's what they are. And so we can't just swipe that under the rug and forget all the other great things about. We've literally for 2 years been going, the Chiefs are a defensive football team now. And I think it took about late the first year when they beat the 49ers in Super Bowl, but people start to go, yeah, you know what, Sims is right. He's been saying that with Ahmed. They are a defensive team. They play through the defense. Mm-hmm. And that continued last year. And it was the ugliest 15-1 record ever. I mean, no blowouts, no domination wins, win by the skin of your teeth, win by shamrocks up your ass, right?
Which made it more
which is amazing. But I would just go, if you go through the 15-1 teams in the history of the sport, right?
More dominant.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, you get back to the 85 Bears, the 84 Niners, teams like that, the Carolina Panthers in 2015. I mean, they whooped the shit out of teams, right? Yeah.
All right, we got one more here I want to get.
Yeah.
I'm interested to hear what you have to say about this.
Yeah.
This one comes from Lee Eisen. He goes, how low would we have to go on the Sims pyramid to get to a quarterback who wouldn't have won a Super Bowl on the Eagles? So you had Jalen Hurts at number 10.
Yeah.
So clearly we got to go below that.
Yeah.
Now, I will say, if we were to replay the season again, there are situations where Jalen Hurts does not win the Super Bowl with the Eagles. So it's possible for any of these quarterbacks not to win a Super Bowl with the Eagles.
Yeah.
But for the purposes of this exercise, who would you say I really don't have faith that with that Eagles roster that they would have won the Super Bowl?
I mean, I get to some of those rookies there, and I think a little bit of like.
So what are we thinking? Like Bo Nick? Are we thinking Aaron Rodgers at what? Would you have him? 14?
Yeah, a little higher. 14. I think you're right there. I feel like they would have been okay. Here it is there.
Okay.
I feel like they would have been okay with Aaron Rodgers, Jared Goff. I think they could have won the Super Bowl with Kyler Murray. Jordan Love, yeah, it's going to be different style of play, right? That's this thing, and Matt Casey just went in my ear. You're going to have to play a little different, and that's the greatness about Jalen Hurts is he does bring a skill set that fits how they play, right, and fits the personnel of their offense. And of course, like we talked about on Monday, it's the Jalen Hurts offense. That's what it is.
Right.
But I mean, I think we get to. Maybe the Tua area, okay, and that might be where I'd start to go. I don't know. I'm not sure.
So you still think that? I mean, Caleb that would have been tough. I don't know that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm projecting that a little bit, right?
Yeah.
But Caleb's running skill set and all of that, I think would be enough for them to be still like, we can kind of play not too dissimilar than we play with Jalen Hurts,
sure,
right? So that's a tough one there. Yeah, the rookies are – that's why I said that at first. The rookies are where you first go, Caleb Williams and Bo Nix. You go, I'm not sure, right? And, yeah, but I feel – I don't know. I feel good about them.
Yeah.
I know. And, yes, Tua would be the one I think where I would question and I go, I don't know. Okay, that would be about where I'd start the questioning. Now, off of that too, one thing I got to be better about is – not getting emotional talking about Jalen Hurts, right? Because I did see a video of myself on Monday and just going, man, I sound angry. And I'm not angry. And I'm not mad at Jalen Hurts.
Where's this video?
I mean, just what we put on social media.
You were watching
what I
podcast.
see people saying. And like, and I just go, yeah, I got to learn to, because what I'm doing is fighting against the masses. And sometimes it comes off when I explain my Jalen Hurts thing, like I'm just yelling at Jalen Hurts or yelling about his game.
Sure.
And no, what I'm yelling at is like the 3 assholes I saw in the airport yesterday who said something to me about Jalen Hurts. Or the 3 assholes I saw the week before that said something to me about Jalen Hurts. Who I would just go, you know nothing about nothing, so shut up. That's what I want to say, right? But so that's where I think I get over emotional, and I need to check that and check myself because I have a lot of respect for Jalen Hurts. I really do. I respect a lot about the person in a lot of ways, the work ethic, the story. He is really damn good, Again, we're in, as Matt Casey reminds me all the time, to be top 10 in anything in the world is kind of special. It's kind of hilarious when you get into 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and people go, you're an asshole for putting him there, right? That's what's crazy. He does a lot of good. He really does. And he is an important piece of why they won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, you just like some other quarterbacks a little bit better for their quarterback play,
Right.
like C.J. Stroud. Although the Vet Alumni Podcast wanted you to know that Stroud above Hurts shows the potency of your peyote.
Oh, it is potent. There's no denying that. It's the most potent stuff around, right? But no, I don't agree with that comment at all. Here's one thing.
Both can be
again,
true. Both
we
can be
lose.
true.
Yes, both can be true. And I think here's again where we lose context because we had the great NFC Championship game, the great Super Bowl. Okay, so we have that. But again, like I said the other day, it's like we forgot that the 10, 11 weeks before that, I mean, this was the fourth worst passing team in football in yards per game. We questioned him. They were like, again, this is not me. This is the Eagles fans.
Yeah.
They were booing Jalen Hurts in the Carolina Panthers game, booing the offense. The number one player on their offense, A.J. Brown, said passing was the problem with the offense.
Yeah. He was so mad he had to read a book on the sideline.
Exactly. So that's where I want to go, like, no. And C.J. Stroud is a machine. And as we got back to, again, this is where we get into team and people lose wins and how it looks and all that. And I want to go, man, C.J. Stroud played under some circumstances last year where I'd go, they weren't easy. They were some of the toughest in football. They couldn't protect. They couldn't do anything. Everybody was all over their offense, and they still went to the playoffs, and he still played at a pretty damn high level. So that's where I don't necessarily agree with the Vet Alumni podcast.
With all this AI stuff, what we just need to do, number one thing, is just be able to play out simulations
And
of what
just
it would
put
look
them in
like.
there
Oh my gosh!
and
You
do
just
it.
actually
I know.
play it out
Maybe
so we
that's
can see
coming
it in
next.
real life. I
Right.
mean, next year,
Right.
2026,
Yeah.
maybe. We got to take a break. When we come back, a quick game of Would You Rather. We got that for you next.
I like it.
Back here on Chris Sims Unbuttoned. Oh, look at this.
Wow, I like that right there. Damn,
is
I look
rock.
good right there. What is this now? What the hell are we looking at here?
So this is you as a cyborg.
Yeah. Damn, I'm a good-looking cyborg.
Back in the day.
I gotta send that to my wife. She might think I'm hot with that right there.
So
I got a tatted neck.
So Panthers alerts here. I guess he did this himself. Is this right, Matt? Is this right?
Yeah.
Is he did
Grok.
this?
I like it.
Grok create an image of Sims as a house. So this is Grok that did this.
Yep. Thanks,
Okay.
Grok. I like it, man.
All right.
I like it. He got my hair good. I mean, damn, he's got a.
Was your hair like that when you were playing?
No, it was not.
Yeah,
It
I
was
don't
long.
think so,
This is a
right?
recent hair they've gotten into here. So I do like that there. They made my neck a little thicker. They made my jaw a little bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, we
There.
took our own crack
Now
at it.
I'm
So
the
this is
Slade
what-
Terminator. That's what I looked like in the spleen game. Okay.
This is like, yeah.
The red eye was blinking and fading. It was all bad. It was all bad. They were about to drop me into lava, just like the Terminator.
This is like if the Terminator got sick a little bit.
Yeah,
I feel like,
yeah.
you know, it's just like recovering from a stomach bug. You know,
or-
lost a little weight.
Yeah, or
and-
he's got a virus in his computer software, something like that.
yeah. Give him a few weeks. He'll be back to normal, but right now he's not looking so hot. All right, so will robots ever take over the NFL? No, that will never happen, right? As much as I'm a proponent for
Whatever.
AI,
Yeah.
that will never. I hope that never happens,
Seems like
right?
they're going to take over the world here in the next
No.
5 years. So
Well, because you think
there
of
and
it.
that, they would take over football.
This is the analogy that's been made all the time. You know, it's like Usain Bolt is the fastest man. It was awesome watching him. But we have built things that are faster than Usain Bolt: a train, a plane, a car. But we don't care about car. You know, we do care about cars, but humans driving the cars.
Yeah.
So it's like, the human element, I think, will still be a thing.
I hope so.
Hopefully.
I hope so. I hope you're right about that one.
Unless the computers hear this, and then we're really in trouble. All right, we got some would you rather questions here for you. This one, a couple of them I came up with. The homies came up with a couple as well. This one's for you as a future GM. I was curious to get into your brain here. Would you rather inherit a team with a young roster with potential but a losing record, or a team with a winning record but an aging roster that needs an overhaul after year 1 or year 2?
I would rather take that young team.
You would.
Right, and just have kind of that blank canvas. Now, the risk you're taking there is, that your young team, you're not good, and all of a sudden you have, like, a year that's not good, and then the second year is just mediocre, and you might get your ass fired.
Now
right?
you have an aging team that's not very good.
Exactly. So that's what you worry about. But no, I think if I had my pick as a GM, I would want to come into that type of situation where I'd go, it's a little bit more of a blank canvas. I'm not stuck with older players and existing contracts that are going to affect decisions and how I want to build the team, right? I feel like you look at a lot of the great dynasties in history, that's kind of the way it was. The Steelers weren't good. They drafted well. They developed. All of a sudden, it's that. The 49ers weren't good. Draft well. Boom. The Cowboys were the worst. They traded Herschel Walker with not being bad. They built it. It's a super team, right? That, to me, there's more stories of that than, I understand you could still be good the other way, but I question the longevity, and you might have more headaches and stuff to deal with the other way.
It almost depends on your ownership, too, because if your ownership was willing to say, it's like, okay, take this team that's still pretty good, get them through this veteran stage, but we will stick with you as you rebuild and overhaul, you might get 2 cracks at it then.
Yeah, hopefully. But, like, I just think if you, like Kansas City, and what they've done, they've been pretty young and kind of done it that way, where it wasn't like they were actually maybe I'm wrong there. When Mahomes took over, they were kind of maybe that team, and that was like, and Andy Reid took over. But there were some veterans, but they retooled it on the fly. They might be a little different. And they're special in the fact that they kind of, within the midst of the dynasty, kind of just flipped over the team and became the youngest team in football when they beat the Eagles in the Super Bowl the first time around. But, nonetheless, still, I'm taking the young team with the potential down the road.
All right, what kind of offensive or defensive team would you want here? Would you rather have a top 5 offense and a bottom 10 defense, or top 5 defense and a bottom 10 offense in today's NFL?
Wow.
I think as a fan,
well, you definitely
the Lions last year, with all the injuries by the end of the year, we were definitely in the top 5 offense, bottom 10 defense. Fun to watch.
It is
definitely fun to watch, but also, nerve-wracking. Right?
I think I'm still going to go. It's odd, and I like defense, but I think I would rather go with the offense right now and the way the league's set up and how that goes.
Never out of a game.
I feel like when your offense is not good, it's just not good, and it's not all of a sudden going to show up in the playoffs and go, oh, look, we're all of a sudden we can throw for 300 yards and do stuff like that. Defenses, you can reinvent ways and do things and surprise an offense and coach them up and do some crazy stuff that might catch the other team off guard. Create a few turnovers. Even though we let a bunch of yards, we created a few turnovers. It doesn't matter. They didn't score. It gave us some extra possessions. Yeah, I feel like I'd probably go that way. Now, a lot of that has to do with the building of your team, and this goes back to a little bit with like what I do think Kansas City's done is Kansas City's gotten our quarterback so damn good, we're going to spread the assets out a little bit on our team. We think he can make up for not the greatest talent in the world at the skill positions, right? And that's where he's great, and they've taken that way about them a little bit. But no, I still think get to the playoffs, do that. I would rather have the top 5 offense.
Yeah. It's funny you say that now, and I feel like
it's tough
because season I'd rather have the top 5 offense. I don't know. Once you get
when
to
you get
the
the defense, you think the playoffs, the defense becomes a bigger thing.
It kind of feels like that a little bit.
It does a little. It is. I know. I'm trying to think of this is one I'd have to wrap my head around and think and look back about teams and history a little.
But it does feel like when you have a top 5 offense, if you're down 14,
you're in every game.
Right.
That's why I kind of went with the offensive rules.
If you have a bottom 10 offense, it feels like when you're down 7, you're out of it.
You're in trouble.
You're not going to win.
You're definitely in trouble. Yep. So, I'm still think I'm going to go with the offense there. Yeah.
All right, we got kind of similar on this defense and elite defense thought. This is from GG. Why aren't defenses like the 2013 Seahawks or 2015 Broncos ever considered the greatest D of all time? They dominated in an era where the league catered to offense and protecting the quarterback. All the defenses in the 70s to 2000s got to play more freely and impose physicality on offenses. That's an interesting point.
It is an interesting point. I mean, I'm sitting here thinking about the 2015 Broncos and go, that's one of the best defenses I ever saw, and they barely won the Super Bowl. They barely got to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And their offense wasn't very good. So there was a lot of games that were dicey. But these are two of the better defenses we've seen, I think, over the last 15 years. The 2013 Seahawks, which was special. The Legion of Boom, the Seattle Cover 3, the league not being able to get used to their rules and all that, right? I don't know why. They should be considered that more. I think they are considered that in football world, like the NFL. I think people look at that. And I had to do a draft not long ago with Florio on PFT, and I know I included the 2015 Broncos as one of the teams I picked, certainly. But I think the reason they're not in the conversation of greatest Ds of all time is because there's not multiple Super Bowls to go along with it. And I think when you talk about the greatest defenses of all time, usually there is a multiple of Super Bowls that kind of go. Steelers, Giants. The Bears might be one that's different, but they had a year that was so special, and they had a bunch of years that were special after that. So I would guess that's my 2 cents on why they don't get the respect they got. But they did dominate, right? And, man, what one would you rather take, the 2013 Seahawks or the 2015 Broncos? I'd probably still go the Seahawks because the talent on that team was so special at all three levels. But I like that 2015 Broncos scheme better. The 2015 Broncos scheme was very game plan specific. It's 1 week they're playing like this, the next week they're playing like that. 1 week cover 2 looks like this, the next week cover 2 is a little different, right? That to me is what makes a quarterback really, really uncomfortable, and that's where they were special there. But yeah, he isn't wrong in saying that defenses in the 70s and 80s and got a little more pub. I mean, again, we're talking about a Super Bowl dynasty type of team in the Chiefs, and it's been around the defense the last few years, and nobody really talks about it maybe to the level they should when it's all said and done.
The numbers are always going to look worse for defenses now.
Right.
It's just you're going to look at those numbers for the old defense and be like, unbelievable, but it was just a different
number one defense in football this year was the Eagles, and nobody really talks about it a whole lot.
Sure.
Right?
We'll be talking about Travis Hunter quite a bit.
Yeah.
I got a would you rather on Travis Hunter.
Okay.
Would you rather have Travis Hunter play 50% of snaps on both sides of the ball at an elite level, or just 90% of snaps on one at an elite level, but none on the other?
Wow.
So 50-50, he's great at ball. Awesome. 50 offense, 50 defense. Or sits out one, 90% on the other. Elite.
I think I'd rather go with the 50-50.
Yeah.
I would. As much as I at first was just like, no, let's be a great receiver and do that.
Yeah, we're guaranteeing no injuries.
Right,
so
yeah.
no injuries either way.
But what you get into, I think, when you go like 50% of the snaps is you can make sure he's not in there on run plays or some certain pass plays where you don't want him on there and you know the ball's not going to go to him. It's a screen to this guy, so you can finagle it a little bit, right? To where, first down, okay, he's not on the field, great. 2nd and 2, he's not on the field because it's a running situation, right? But we got him in there when we want him in there in the passing situation. So it might only become 50% and 50%, but he's in there in those situations when we really need him.
Yeah. And
he's awesome at both. I think I would take that.
That would be cool.
That would be cool.
awesome.
It's odd. It's actually, I'm loving these questions here because again, full transparency. We're not one of these podcasts or shows where Ahmed and producer Pete Demolitolitis and Matt Casey tell me these questions.
Yeah.
And I get to prepare for them. I am seeing them for the first time, just like everybody else right now. And yes, these questions are making me rack my brain as we go here.
All right, here, go with your gut on this one.
ones.
Whose situation would you rather be in this year? Jaxson Dart, Shedeur Sanders, or Jalen Milroe?
Definitely Jaxson Dart. I think Jaxson Dart. Just from the aspect, I think, of playing, the organization totally being invested in him. I mean, by all due accounts, we know Brian Daboll loved him. He wanted him. It's a first-round pick on the guy, right? So, yeah, Jaxson Dart has a chance. Not only is everybody excited about him, he has, to me, has a chance to play this year. That's the big thing. Where, Shedeur Sanders, there's just way too many unknowns. Now, he continues to kill press conferences and say the right things. He is amazing that way.
He is so good.
He has dominated post-draft everything. If he was like this during the pre-draft process, maybe he wouldn't have fallen, right? Yeah. I mean, he's really unbelievable, thoughtful answers he gets. Jalen Milroe, as we know, it's a project. So he's nowhere.
But you got no pressure. You got no pressure.
No, he's got no pressure. He's got no pressure. But, I would think he'd be like, I'd like some pressure. I'd rather play. Yeah. So I think he would tell you that. So, yeah, I'm going Jaxson Dart.
Neil Martin has a follow-up on this. He goes, is it possible before the end of the season that Milroe takes the #1 quarterback role from Sam Darnold?
It's possible, but I think highly unlikely. I think you would have to have really the Seahawks and Sam Darnold shit the bed, right? It'd have to be, disastrous. I don't think you want to do that with Jalen Milroe yet. This is something you want to grow him. You want to get his confidence going. You want to make him a polished enough passer to where when he does go out there, he feels good about himself. He feels confident that he's going to put a good product on the field and do all that. I don't know if he's quite there right now. Like I told you in the pre-draft process. I mean, his best games are like, oh my gosh, that's unbelievable, right? But then the bad games were very bad and very raw. And there's some things he's got to work on there. So, no, I don't expect that. I expect Milroe. I know they're saying quarterback. I feel like he'll get in the game at some point as the season goes on.
I would hope so.
At some sort of gadget role, whatever, to do something.
It's a waste if you don't.
And they'll, behind the scenes, continue to work with him at the quarterback position.
All right, I got one more that I was intrigued just to hear your thoughts on. I'm going to throw this. It's about running back here. Would you rather have a running back who runs for 1,500 yards but no catches? He just can't catch the ball. You just can't use him that way. Or a running back that runs for 800 yards but also has 500 through the air. So less total yards, but can do a little bit of both, or more yards as more of an elite runner, but can't catch.
I'd take the elite running.
You would take the more yards.
It's a great question by you.
Yes,
it is.
Okay, all right.
But I would play. I'm into making something elite. Like, remember, that's kind of one of the things I tell you all the time.
Yeah.
I want to be so good at something that it has to transform the way you play us, and that benefits us in other areas in our offense, right? That's what I would prefer. And I just think, even though that running back might not catch the balls or do any of that, what he is going to provide in the run game, and then when we fake it to him and don't give it to him, and now we got a receiver going down the field, that'll make up for all the lack of receiving he gets from there. So I think I'd rather do that.
I like that.
Yeah.
All right, the homies have more questions for you. That was good.
Cool.
I enjoyed that. Could Aaron Rodgers turn back the clock this year? It's $1 million question. $13 million question. Talk about that next. We want to learn more about Chris. This is Jacob. He goes, we all know you like to partake in the greenery and all the animals you have.
Yep.
What's one hobby the homies wouldn't know that you enjoy?
Wow. First off, Jacob, thanks for listening and paying attention to all of that. I mean, always a big sports watcher.
Yeah.
You know all of that.
This is hard. You're an open book.
I am an open book. I love history stuff. So, like, I am a sucker of, like, just watching, like, old history channel stuff like that.
Any conspiracy that has ever been talked about, Chris is looking
I'm slowly going into that route there, joining Aaron Rodgers. I think my hobby that I would say that really nobody knows about, that's really kind of taken me over the last 7 or 8 months, is bird watching. Okay. I've gotten very much into bird watching. As I sit in the backyard smoking my greenery, right, and the animals are around me, I like got into this thing where I was like, damn, that's a cool bird. What the hell is that? And like, whoa, what color is that? So I started to bring my binoculars out. And now you could ask my wife, my family, they'll tell you every time I go outside, I bring my binoculars, right? So I'm very much into that. I sit in the yard, I smoke my greenery and my cigar and do all that. And as I enjoy it, I go, whoa, and I pull them out and I look and it's amazing. Baltimore Orioles. We got
Wait, what?
Baltimore Orioles, right? That's a real bird. Yeah.
Wait, it's not just the.
No,
is
the Baltimore Orioles
native.
are a real bird, and it's amazing. One of the coolest birds. It's in my backyard. It's amazing. Bluebird. We have a bluebird nest in our backyard.
Okay.
Incredible.
A Toronto Blue Jay.
Yeah. We have the Toronto Blue Jays. We're getting all the AFC East in baseball there. Yeah. We got that. My Ravens, awesome. Okay. So I got some cool ones. The goldfinch. But yeah, I've kind of gotten into that over the last year.
And you got the Merlin app too, right? You can listen to it. It listens to what the chatter is. And
my
will
pileated
identify.
woodpecker is my favorite bird in the world. Check that out. Okay, so yeah, there's some cool ones, and I do have some books that tell you kind of what they are and all that. So yeah, that's been my new hobby.
Sitting
Jacob.
with binoculars, looking at birds.
Am I getting
complaining
old
about
or what?
coaches going for fourth down. You are old. All right, this one comes from Half Post Modern. Says, does Ahmed feel better or worse about the Lions going into this season compared to last season? Felt like they were a year early, overperformed last season, and now this season they have high expectations with a lot of personnel turnover. Lions fans have to be confused. We're always confused. I will say this. A good thing about being a Lions fan, we're always pessimistic.
Yeah.
So we don't necessarily have high expectations every year because you always just assume the worst will happen, injuries or whatnot. So
You're not pessimistic though, but I have a hard time.
I don't like having super high expectations, which I feel like we do a little bit, but our schedule is so hard and we had so much turnover with the coaching staff.
Right.
I think if we all take a step back in the regular season, it's going to be okay, and playoffs a crapshoot at that point, a lot of good teams, so I feel okay about going into this season. I feel good that the last 2 years have gone well.
Yes.
Because I feel like that would have been the thing that sucked. It's like, wow, are we finally good? And it's like, nope, you're not. Which it didn't work out in the playoffs. But I do feel like we've built up some success and had a lot of good moments. Glass half full. I'm excited about
you
this
should
year.
be. I mean, you guys are definitely one of the best teams of football. I don't think you got to worry about that. The injuries hurt your playoff run last year.
Yeah.
I have a hard time thinking you were more excited than last year, though. Last year, I feel like at this time, you were like, the Lions are going to the Super Bowl. And by all due accounts, they looked like that all year. Like this year, I still think you think like, hey, they could go to the Super Bowl, but maybe you have like a few more questions, right?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, last year, I felt like we went into the year and you were like, damn, we're ready.
I think they're going to have
I'm all for
yeah.
the 4th and 2 going for it instead of going up by 17. We're going to go back to the Super Bowl anyways.
I feel better now, though, than I did midway through last year with all the injuries.
Oh,
if
yeah,
that makes
yeah,
any
I hear
sense.
that. I
You know,
hear
at the
you.
beginning of the
Yeah,
year,
yeah.
yes, I feel like
Yeah.
if we stayed healthy
Right,
last year,
right.
we'd be better. But I feel better now than we did at the end of the year. So
Yeah.
maybe that just overall feels better. This is from Slim Fitz.
What up, Slim Fitz?
Can you see Rodgers pulling a 2021 MVP-type season out of his rear?
No, I cannot.
Okay.
Not that type of thing. But can I see him playing really well and the Pittsburgh offense being actually a force this year and having more than just like 2 or 3 games of like, oh, wow, we look good, right? We had like a few games with Russell Wilson when he took over. He went, oh, wait, we got something. And I think we got excited like, oh, they actually could be something. They might actually win a playoff game and be fun to watch. And then everybody got used to their offense and his flaws got shown. And then we're like, oh, gosh. Yeah, all right, Pittsburgh, just lose the wild card round. Don't ruin divisional weekend, please. Don't do that. This is where I think they'll be different. I do. Again, Pittsburgh, like Philadelphia, goes to the playoffs with a bottom 10 passing team in football. That's kind of weird and rare, right? So where I think Rodgers, of course, is going to make them better. I think they are changing the way they do business a little bit. They've been stuck with the quarterback problem. We know that. This was the best option they got out there. The fact that they get DK Metcalf and company, DK Metcalf with Freiermuth, and like we talked about, we need to see one other guy there. But I do think they'll be more dangerous on offense. I think that they realize that. I think that's why they've made these moves. They have to do that. They have to keep pace with the teams that are winning in football right now are making aggressive moves. So the Steelers, I think, have looked at it and go, we got to start changing the way we do business a little bit here. We got to be a little more aggressive. They've never done anything like they did with DK Metcalf. They've really never done anything like they did with Aaron Rodgers this year. But I think they realize the division they're in, how big of a year it is for Mike Tomlin, the GM Omar Khan. And, man, if he plays... And we know they're tough up front, and they can always run the ball in a pretty consistent way, even though it's not super explosive. But if he can play and push the ball down the field and be explosive that way, I feel like, too, that defense that was, last year, number 12 in football, and I think it was probably better than that, but the offense didn't always help it out, right? I think that's a defense that, with him at quarterback, that can look like a top 5 defense, let alone the passing offense being around the midpoint of the league instead of towards the bottom. And I think that would be a big boast. So I don't think MVP, but I certainly think more dangerous on the offensive side of the ball.
DraftKings has the numbers out for Rodgers right now. He is plus 5,000 to win the MVP. That is 50-1, and so you feel like that would be a waste of $1 if you put $1 on Rodgers.
I do.
At 50,
yes.
even at 50.
I feel like you could. I feel like you could find better options than that. That's for sure. Yes.
DraftKings Sportsbook is your home for live betting. New customers can bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins.
Just download the app and use the promo code UNBUTTONED when you sign up. DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours.
We got one more here from Mario, a.k.a. Not Bucky Cox, a famous homie. Just like the 20 top 10 receivers that we've said, you say they have a high-level NFL starter arm power, or they, quote, they might not have the 102-mile-an-hour fastball, but they can still get it up to 98 for like 75% of the starters. Can we get a quick tier of top 10 and bottom 10 quarterback arm talent? So that's a lot of quarterbacks to name here, so maybe
that is a lot.
We just do a few of that you think are top 5.
Well, yeah. I mean, right away. I mean, Lamar-Allen, Mahomes, Stafford, Herbert.
You think it goes Allen 1?
Yeah, Allen, I would probably say one. I would probably say Allen one. Allen's maybe got the strongest arm I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
It's in that combo there, right? But arm talents, yeah, I think it's Allen, Jaxson, Mahomes, Stafford, Justin Herbert. I think Caleb Williams is in that conversation for just arm talent we're talking about here, okay? I will go with Joe Burrow as well. His arm is way more physically gifted than you think. It might not be in the top 5 or 6 of that arm talent type of thing, but I'm still going to put it there. His ability to throw the ball with pace and still be incredibly accurate is special. Okay. And honestly, I'm going to probably put C.J. Stroud there too. I am. C.J. Stroud, again, it might not be a 105-mile-per-hour fastball all the time, but he can throw the 101-mile-per-hour and paint corners all the time.
Would you say it might not be 102, but he can get it up to like 98?
Yeah.
Exactly.
You're funny.
That's what Mario said.
And Baker Mayfield. I think he's another one I got to throw in that conversation right there.
And I know you don't like to do this, but who does well even with a lower arm talent? Maybe not, your bottom 40.
Yeah, but I think
who does more with less?
I think if you had to get into that conversation there, Jalen Hurts would be one. Okay, I would talk about Brock Purdy would be another one. Dak Prescott, Tua have all done impressive things throwing the ball, and they find other ways to do it than just throwing lasers all the time. I think those are probably some of the names that jump out to me in that conversation there. I'm trying to Kirk Cousins, of course, through his career has been damn good that way, right? You got guys like Kyler Murray and Jordan Love and Jared Goff where it's like, I wouldn't put them in the top 10. They're just missing on the outside there.
Yeah.
And they're definitely not in the bottom 10, but I think those are some of the guys there.
How about some of those young guns like the Michael Penixes and some of those
Michael Penix and all of them are more in the conversation of being closer to the top 10 with arm talents. I thought about them throwing in there. Caleb Williams, Penix, I would probably – they're more in that top 10 conversation.
Yeah. So Matt has pointed out that we have listed 15 for our top 5 quarterbacks. So Mario, that's just what you get.
That's
what you get on this podcast.
Right.
We got to take one more quick break. When we come back, you just ranked some dudes.
Yeah.
We're gonna make you do it one final
Good,
time
thank you.
before the hiatus.
Need to do that.
Let's rank some more dudes. Crash says top 3 greatest athletes of all time, not just football.
Yeah. Well, one's undeniable. The greatest athlete I've seen in any sport or anything ever in my life is Michael Jordan. I've never seen anything like Michael Jordan in person, on TV, no matter what, where I was. Michael Jordan's unbelievable.
Okay.
To this day and age. He was 40 years in front of his time. So I don't know.
In what ways? What, like his leaping ability?
All of it. I don't know. Anything. Practice habits, fadeaway jumpers, clutchness. Defense. His statistics say it all. Really. What he has done is special.
Yeah.
But yeah, I never saw anybody be able to one person enforce themselves on a game and carry a team like Michael Jordan. And I see sometimes like the LeBron people, they're like, well, he didn't go to the playoffs his first 7 years. And everybody in the league knew who the best player was. Go back to it. Magic Johnson was calling him God. Larry Bird's calling him God. But Bob Knight's had 4 practices on the Olympic team, and he's like, he's the best player I've ever seen in my life. This is Bob Knight. Right? So it's incredible. He was doing things that are still amazing to me this day. So he's one. Muhammad Ali is definitely 2.
Oh, interesting.
What? I am Muhammad Ali, Cassius Clay. Yes.
Are we doing athletes here, or are we just doing like accomplished?
Well, I don't know. Michael Jordan, last time I checked, being able to jump 45 inches and do everything else he does, yes, is an athlete. Yes.
Yeah.
And it's still an athlete too. The quickest hands I've ever seen.
Oh, that's
all right.
great.
But maybe I'm taking into some other stuff. But damn, it's a sport about I got to look you in the eye and you got to beat me up and I got to beat you up. And he beat up everybody 70-something times. And the people he lost to, he was like, I'm coming back and I'm going to beat your ass, right? So, yeah, I'm going to put Muhammad Ali there.
Okay.
Fought all those great heavyweights. Now, the third one, I'm trying not to go with football here. I don't want to go anybody in football.
If it was
honestly.
football, who? Deion's in that conversation.
Deion,
obviously.
Bo Jackson. Those are right away the 2 that I think of just like greatest athletes of all time.
Yeah.
I'm going to throw another one out here for you that's going to piss Matt Casey off a lot. Novak Djokovic is quietly one of the greatest athletes I've ever seen.
Oh, man.
Yes, he don't like that.
Yeah.
He's like, let's end the show. But he would be up there in that conversation as well.
Yeah. Serena dominated on the women's side.
There's some good ones there. But
right.
those are 3 that are like off the cuff that I certainly got respect for.
I'm really interested in this next one. Matt Bostic.
Okay.
Choosing out of your non-ex-football player co-hosts, Who would Chris Sims choose to be his wide receiver on a 4th and long to score a game-winning touchdown?
Ooh.
I feel like 4th and short.
So he's saying one of you slappies, huh?
I'd have a better chance. Yeah, of all that you've ever worked with, right? Going back to your bleacher at
yeah,
Lefko.
I mean, Lefko's
Burmeister
slow and he's a little too thick. He's not going to get off the line of scrimmage.
Paulie B played.
Florio's like, he's too old. I can't. He's not going to do. He's not going to do. It's you or Maria.
Oh, wow.
I mean, I really think so.
Okay, yeah.
Maybe Paul Burmeister. He's in there too. He's got a little size. Damn, you might have just got knocked out of the
He has
three.
more size, yeah.
You know, damn, Maria though on the goal line fade, would be tough to mess with. Her volleyball and basketball, background. But I'll go with you.
Wow,
I'll go with you.
Are you just doing that because I'm sitting? I feel like
a little bit, but I saw you catch the ball.
Yeah.
You got a little football skills with you.
I'm not a bad athlete.
No, you're not. I mean, I'm not going with Tarico. Okay, I've done some work with him. I mean, we have to throw him the wide receiver screen and have to have good blocking for him to get in, right? I mean, that's sorry. Yeah. I'm trying to think if there's anybody else that I'm missing. No, it's you or Maria.
Okay.
And Maria doesn't have a football background, so I'll give it to you. And Maria went to Georgia, and I don't like Georgia right now, so I'm not giving her anything.
I appreciate that. We should do it in the parking lot, just see if it works out before you totally.
Just you don't always stay in bounds, though. That's the problem. When we saw that, you catch the ball, you ran down a sideline with nobody there, and you stepped out of bounds.
Field awareness is difficult there. Cody Harms, you always say that all the young kids want to do all the Mahomes sidearm passes before learning the fundamentals. Who did you imitate most as a kid, and how did the Big Effer react when you strayed away from the fundamentals?
Well,
any punishments? Yeah, when you didn't go completely over the top.
Well, who didn't throw the fundamental way when we were growing up? Everybody was kind of fundamental. They might have done it a different way. I'd have weeks where I would be like, man, I'm throwing like John Elway this week. And then, another week I'd go, I'm throwing like Troy Aikman. But none of that was like sidearm, do any of that stuff like that. But I'll give you like this. I had a very flexible arm, okay? And here's one good story. Flexible arm. I didn't always have to be in great positions. Almost like, I'm not trying to compare myself to a Mahomes or whatever, but I could be in an awkward position and still because my arm was flexible and my hands were big, I could kind of still throw it where I wanted to and still throw it and people are like, oh, wow. And like a quarterback coach would be like, man, that was a messed up step. That wasn't, you leaned. Nothing was great there except you did throw it right where you wanted to throw it, right? So I can remember one year I come home, I'm in the NFL, and I'm coming home after a mini camp, and my dad's there, whatever, and he's like, hey, you want to go out and throw today? And I'm like, yeah, I need to throw. It's been 2 or 3 days. Let's get out there and do something. And so I get out there, and I mean, I've come back from OTAs and mini camps, and I mean, I've torn it apart. I'm like, I'm the man. I'm like, my chest is out every day because I'm like, I'm about to take over the Bucks. Like, I diced up our defense every day. I am the man, right? And I throw like 4 footballs. We get going, we get warm, I throw footballs. And my dad looks at me and goes, you're going to throw like that this year? Like telling me he didn't like how I was throwing it. Yeah. And I was like, well, what do you mean? He's like, well, shit. I mean, yeah, you got your arch in your back. You're not stepping to the target. And I'm like, I wanted to be like, well, I'm just throwing one laser after another right on target. And that was a funny moment, I remember, because me being in the NFL, him being removed, but knowing how I throw at my best, I'm thinking I'm throwing it amazing. And I get home and like, John Gruden's telling me I'm amazing. And I get home, my dad's like, that kind of looks like shit, actually. I think we need to work on some things.
Could you convince him? Could you convince him that it was okay?
No, I could not. There was no way. He was not going to let me do that at all. No, not at all.
In the front yard, at least. You do that in front of Gruden, not here.
I never heard fundamentals from my dad until eighth grade, because my dad, who was still warming or keeping in shape to play maybe for the Browns, the Cardinals with Buddy Ryan, the Jaguars with Tom Coughlin, I couldn't play football that year because I was too big. I didn't make the weight limit. Oh. But it was a blessing in disguise because I would go to the field and catch balls for my dad. And that was the first time ever he was like, hey, no, do this when you throw. Do that when you throw, right? And the first thing he ever taught me is when you throw, just throw and then have your follow-through go down to your opposite pocket, right? And I was like, oh, okay. And then I started to go, well, damn, I throw spirals every time when I do that. It's funny now. Now you don't want to do that. You want to kind of come across to the opposite pectoral, right? Yeah. That's the motion. But that was one of the first things he ever taught me or talked to me about.
That's cool. Yeah. It keeps getting higher, too. Back when I was throwing, sometimes it was like your thigh.
I know. Yeah.
Thigh.
Yes. Now it's more across and around like we talk about here on the pod a lot, right?
All right. We got one more for you. This is from Tommy J. You get 1 week at the Jersey Shore this summer. He's trying to pick your brains.
Yeah.
Meet you out there.
Yeah.
Where are you spending it? Avalon, LBI, Seaside Heights, Wildwood, Ocean City, or Cape May?
Jersey. Look at isn't Tommy J Dad Bod supermodel just the perfect Jersey guy right there at Jersey's freshest?
Yeah,
all right,
there we go.
man, I'm more of a northern part of the state shore guy, right? So I'm not at Ocean City, Cape May, Wildwood. That's down low. That's down there by Philadelphia. Okay, so I'm not that.
Seaside Heights, that was a Jersey Shore.
Jersey
right?
Shore, right? Exactly right. You'll see all
Snooki.
kinds of crazy creatures there. Okay, that's for sure, and that's a lot of fun. There's no doubt. I feel like I'd be LBI, Point Pleasant, Manalokan, Manasquan. I know you don't know these areas, but they will.
Sound
They're
fun.
North Jersey shore spots that, from here in Connecticut where we are right now, it'd take you an hour and 40 minutes to get there.
Okay.
Right? But really good beaches, that's where I'd be right there. But LBI, out of his answers, would probably be the place I'd want to be.
Will you do that? Will you go?
Definitely,
to the Jersey
100%.
Shore?
I
You will
always get at least a day there. It's usually just a day trip. Maybe we get 2-day trips, but that will definitely happen. I have some family that have some houses there in the summer. We try to go visit them, do that. I try to give a few people and get back to my roots and give them the Jersey State bird and give them a middle finger and tell them to shut the mouth. It just makes me feel like a more normal person. Okay.
You'll get to enjoy it because you're chilling with the family. You're not no crazy trips planned. You're just going to chill, relax,
Chill with the
not
family.
rank anyone for the next several weeks.
That's right. Just going to hang, do that. Kids got baseball. Daughter's going to college in August, right? So I'm going to enjoy that time. But, yeah, the kid's going to high school, too, so he's already wanting to get ready for 7-on-7 football, and he's learning the playbook. I'm like, damn, we can't finish 8th grade. This is how high school football is now? We're already doing playbook, meetings?
so.
It's crazy. The world's changed a lot from when you and I played high school football. But stay with us. We'll be in and out here, in and out of contact throughout the next 5 or 6 weeks. We're going to release a few things. We might do a new thing here and there. But as a whole, this is kind of a goodbye for the next 6 weeks. When it starts getting close to training camp, then we'll start back up. 2 shows a week, and then get in the season, it'll be 3 shows a week. And then here we go. It's just coming around the corner, everybody. But you, my friend, thanks so much. Thanks for a great year. Another one in the books. Thanks for wearing your red pants this year.
Had
Or
to.
today.
I might have to soon retire them. They're starting to get some
a little faded.
faded. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you're doing enough here
leak.
where I think you can afford another one. So let's get another one, okay?
Next year, that's my promise to you.
And then and this could be our last show here. We are going to a new studio when we come back. Big time stuff here.
I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah, I like it. Ahmed throwing shots, okay?
I'll believe it when I see it.
But you'll see more content between now and late July. Check your social pages. Like I said, we're going to release certain things. Subscribe, rate, review. Keep sending the questions at me, homies. Everybody else out there who doesn't like me, send the questions too. I like answering those as well. All right, everybody, be good. Have a great summer break. Be safe. All right, enjoy your families. Enjoy the good times, the weather. Ahmed Fareed, you the man.
Chris Sims.
Peace out. Clap it up.
Clap it up.
Yo, homies, what's up? Thanks for watching Chris Sims Unbuttoned. And just because the weather's warm doesn't mean football ain't still on our brains right here.
We are still working, so smash that subscribe button. We got all the training camp news, preseason news, everything up until kickoff night.
Thanks for watching. And again, remember to hit that subscribe button. Peace out, homies.